People who have been caught having sex by their parents. What was that like? Mom walked in on me face deep in my junior prom date. The worst conversation of my life came shortly afterward. What did they say to you? Were ya winning, son? Always have been. Happened twice. First time was my brother when I was like 17 to 18. Wanted me to move my car. So he walked into my room. Blanket was over us. But I was on top of her when she walked in. He just said sorry and closed the door. He profusely apologized later that day when I saw him again. Second time was my mom. She wanted to know if girlfriend was staying for dinner. Just walked in, flailed her arms around for a second and ran off faster than I've ever seen her run before, leaving the door open. We just got up, got dressed, and that was it. Mom never brought it up again. That first part. First time was my brother when I was 17, 18. I legit thought for a second you got caught having sex with your brother. I legit thought that tool mayo. My mom didn't say anything while we were doing it, but after I dropped off my girlfriend and returned home, she said, "You need to respect the people who are living in this house." I immediately knew what she was talking about. Edit. No, my mom didn't catch us in the act. We were probably just being too loud. My mom waited until the next morning, made me a wonderful omelette, and then when I was 3 bites in with a mouthful chomping away, she said, "If you get a girl pregnant, we will not help you raise the baby." I damn near died. Edit. Cause a lot of you are damaged. My parents are fantastic people. I was a fuck up as a 19-year-old, and the point they were making was that I was not responsible enough to have a child. Obviously they would not have let me fuck up my offspring's life. To that point, it's not their responsibility to fix my problems, only to guide me and help me along the way, and nothing is a bigger wake-up call than knowing you don't have a safety net after having one for so long. My parents now live with me in true DC fashion and do a shit ton to help me with my child, especially after my divorce, when I was working crazy hours and my son would be with me. You should have said, "No problem. I won't either." Apostrophe. Dominance asserted. Stand up and pee in the kitchen. Not caught, but one time in high school my girlfriend and I were at her house having sex, and she was very loud about it because we were the only ones there. So we thought, after we were done, we walk out to the living room and her dad was sitting on the couch and gave me a death stare I will never forget. He didn't say a word to either one of us, and she told me he didn't talk to her for a week. Same thing happened with my dad. Luckily I left the bedroom before her to get a drink, so my dad waited a minute and acted like each sut got home so we could pretend he didn't hear anything. This is what legends are made of. If your own father doesn't act as your wingman, who will? That's what Darwin would have wanted. In the moment it was very embarrassing. They were classy enough to step out of the house for 20 minutes to let us get our dignity back together. I took her home and got a stern talking to about protection. When the incident was brought up years later, they admitted that the real reason for stepping out was because they were trying not to bust their guts laughing. Apparently, they held their shit together until they got into the car and then started howling. That's fucking hilarious. Literally. Lol, I got a decent story. So first off, wasn't caught in the action. Caught right after the action. And second, we were 16, so I know we didn't make the brightest choices. Girlfriend at 16 had a very religious family. They lived in the city, so there was no driveway or anything to warn us that a parent was coming home. Her parents were out for the day in the GF, and I were going to a movie that afternoon. So I drove over to pick her up. I got there a little early, so naturally, we used time wisely and had sex. Right after sex, doing our post-sex naked cuddle, we hear the front door start unlocking. We quickly get clothes on. Done. Next, I'm not supposed to be upstairs in their house. Again, very religious people and preach abstinence, and the stairs are right next to the front door, so there's no shot I'm making it down them unseen. The first thought we have is for me to hide. Dumb 16y. Oh, so I get in the hallway closet. GF's mom comes upstairs, sees her daughter, and asks if she's still waiting on me. The mom takes off her shoes, brings them over to the closet, opens the door, puts them literally on my toes, realizes their feet, looks up, sees my face, and releases a full-on comedy horror movie scream right in my face. The three of us had a long conversation, after which we pleaded that I was only waiting for the GF to get ready and knew I wasn't supposed to be upstairs, so I hid. Obviously didn't work. Dated for another few months and now we are still friends. We actually joke about it every so often. Her mom didn't hold it against me in the long run. TLDR, GF's parents came home right after we had sex. I hid in a closet. The mom came and put her shoes in the closet and saw me. She screamed very loudly. Proper TLDR, scared GF's mom by coming out of the closet. Not my parents, but my GF at the time's dad walked in, said hey y'all got any weed, then realized what he walked in on and said oh shit you're la fucking, and then left the house. You at least get the man some weed? Haha yes. All the time. He was a 70s hippie guy with the hair down to his butt and stuff. He could roll like no man before. So you dated Willie Nelson's daughter? A friend of mine that I had a crush on at the time had a dream to be an amateur dentist, so when I had a loose tooth, we were 13 or 14, she really wanted to tear it out. To the point where she hopped on top of me on my bed with her hand in my mouth to tear it out. I obviously resisted and was groaning because this was fucking painful and my thrashing was making the bed creak a lot, and my dad came up confused to see what was going on, and when he saw a girl I had a crush on straddling me, our faces inches apart, he promptly said, "Be careful you two," and walked downstairs. To this day I think my father is convinced that he walked in on me about to have sex with this girl, cause he always gets confused when I tell him I never had a chance with her. This is the weirdest one, innit? Not exactly what you asked for, but when I was 18 my girlfriend at the time and I were watching movies in my room. My grandma came by and knocked on my door before coming in to say hi. She saw us asleep and fully clothed. She chuckled, apologized and closed the door. I heard my grandma telling my mom that she walked in on me doing something scandalous. You were holding hands, weren't you? Scandalous indeed. And fingers were laced. Worse, headpits were involved. Worse, premarital eye contact. That's just nasty. My sister caught me getting a BJ once. She didn't knock before entering my room. She saw what was happening, closed the door and left. Never talked about it ever again. Has porn been lying to me for years? How many other lies have I been told by the council? / how many other lies have I been told by the council? My bad. I'll fix it. Thanks for telling me. No problem. I snuck into my girlfriend's room and stayed the night one time because I had nowhere else to go. Usually her mom leaves for work before everyone gets up for school, but this particular morning her mom came in to ask her something before leaving. Yeah. I woke up to her mother screaming, "Get out of her bed," and ripping the blankets off. And of course I was butt naked. Her mom started acting like she was worried her teenage daughter would get pregnant all the time. And I kind of just avoided her mother for a while because I couldn't look her in the eye. So yeah. Anyways, that's the story of how my mother-in-law saw my dick when I was 15. Mother-in-law, well at least it worked out for the better. Another happy landing. Way to stick it. My mother had trouble starting her Vespa, so she came into my room to ask me to start it for her, which was uncomfortable cause I was quite literally balls deep in my GF at that time. I hadn't locked the room because I thought my mother had left with her scooter. She just calmly asked how long it was going to take us and if I could pause and help her because she was late for work. It was more funny than awkward, to be honest, but we always had a pretty open way of talking about that stuff. Childhood, can you pause your online game? Adulthood, can you pause the fucking? Answer to both. No mom, I told you it's multiplayer. For me they're both single player. Same. Damn, does anybody lock their doors anymore? If they have a lock. I did not. I don't even have a door. How do you not have a door? It isn't a real bedroom. It's a room near the garage, and it should be used as a study or another living room. But I decided to sleep here, so I would have a room all for myself. I wasn't caught, but I snuck a girl over. We bumped uglies all night. She slept over, and we slept nude. I didn't really think how I'd sneak her out. Just wait until my parents left became the plan. So we are laying there nude. I'm awake, she's asleep. I hear the door to the basement, where my room was, open. I proceeded to grab her, carry her to my closet. She looked terrified and confused. Thank God she didn't scream. Put her in my closet and grabbed underwear. Just after I put the underwear on, my stepdad walks in. The closet door was wide open, and he stood in front of it to talk to me, and I sat up on my bed. She just looked at him from the closet, and to this day I don't think he knows. Very close call, but I think he's clueless that on that morning there was a nude 16-year-old girl right behind. If he did notice, he's a legend for keep quiet to my mum and acting clueless. Edit. Typus. Every single time I thought I pulled a fast one and barely escaped my dad finding out I was doing something stupid in his house. He knew. I verified this when I asked him about time/dates but not situations. He called them to a T. TL. Doctor, he knew. He was proud. He kept quiet for you. My dad always knew what we were up to. Early on we figured out we couldn't fool him. So open and honest was the name of the game. And damn if that isn't the best way to raise kids. I have so many friends that have horror stories of strict parents and in effect them acting out. I've lied to my dad exactly twice, and both times it bit me in the ass. So here to the best dad a guy could have. Love you, dad. My high school girlfriend was on top and I wanted to be on top, so I pushed her backwards. When she fell back, she hit her head on the corner of my nightstand and immediately started bleeding. When she saw the blood, she started screaming and crying. My mother and her friends came rushing in to save her. She wrapped up with the blanket, so I'm just standing there at full mast with Susan eyeballing me. My mother and I were always open about this sort of stuff, so she knew we were having sex, and it wasn't a big deal. She did tease me for a couple of weeks afterwards, pretending like I was abusive. Who the fuck is Susan? The lady with the big eyeballs. But Susan, what big eyeballs you have, the better to be eyeballing your balls. My dear, but Susan, what strong hands you have, the better to teach this young teen how to have sex. My dear, / source, Susan teach teen sex. I don't know why I dug deep enough to find this comment, but I'm glad I did. My GFS mom caught us. She didn't barge in or anything, but the next morning I woke up and went to the kitchen to get a drink. Her mom was there, but I didn't assume anything as she was supposed to be out late for work or something. All she said was, I ended you not needing to work late. I'm glad you're taking care of my daughter. I almost jumped out of the window in embarrassment. That's when you hit her with a my pleasure ma'am. I can take care of you too. Wink wink, finger guns, moonwalk out the room. Not my parents but her parents. I didn't know what to do or say when her mother walked in, so I yelled out loud. We were wrestling. Very awkward. That's about as good as that could have possibly gone. Which is to say, it was terrible. Yay, but what do you think of the excuse? I would have believed him. A little awkward. Okay, very awkward. Later my dad told me just don't get pregnant. Fair response. I don't have kids, but I think this is how I'd react depending on the age. Maybe have a follow-up question as to make sure she has everything to be safe, like condoms, contraceptives, Glock 21 SF, and orange juice. They were his parents. He told me that they would be gone for a few hours, so I was loud. His mom opened the door, and I was on top of him. No way I could possibly explain myself. She sighed and walked out. That was the last time I had sex with said guy. Imagine just walking in the house and you hear them doing it real loud. Must have been a bit disturbing. His dog was also in the room. I felt so bad. Buddy, if ya want me to write this fetish fic for ya, I'm gonna need $50. Wasn't really caught, but I had my girlfriend over and we were watching a movie under the covers. Everyone was home, so we kept it quiet and under the big comforter. We were cuddling pre-banging, so we kept that position. Mom walks in and asks my girlfriend and I if we wanted food from whatever place. As I'm still inside, my girlfriend laying perfectly still. Was definitely a holy shit moment. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Most upvotes ever, thank you all. 100% same thing happened to me. I say the weirdest part was maintaining full chub and going back to finish the job after she left. Thankfully when my mother left she closed the door all the way. She knew. Wingman. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.